Papers. Now, immigration check.
I'm a police lieutenant. Phoenix PD. My badge is in my truck.
Sure you are. Everyone's got a story. Show me documentation proving citizenship.
My name is Lieutenant Marcus Hayes, badge 2847. Call my precinct.
We'll verify that downtown.
The McDowell Road Shell Station experienced overcrowding during the incident, 9:47 a.m. on that Tuesday morning. Desert temperatures of the variety that soften asphalt and transform steering wheels into instruments of branding. Following an overnight duty period, Lieutenant Marcus Hayes had paused for fuel en route to his residence. Civilian attire still adorned him: athletic shorts, a Phoenix Suns jersey, protective eyewear against the harsh light. The conclusion of his fueling coincided with the arrival of 3 IC agents from an unmarked white government SUV he'd failed to observe entering. Their recording devices were active, capturing footage destined to become Arizona's most costly refueling stop in recorded history. Prior to proceeding further, what location are you observing from? First-time viewers must engage that subscription control. Tales of this nature require our voices for dissemination. Your backing ensures these recordings reach individuals who must witness the actual occurrences transpiring here. The approach was spearheaded by Agent Todd Brennan. Agents Valdez and Kim, his colleagues, positioned themselves in wide flanking formations resembling livestock containment tactics. Their approach registered in Hayes' awareness, the tactical positioning evident, hands positioned near armaments, physical demeanor of individuals who'd predetermined his problematic nature. His law enforcement cognition cataloged every detail during the brief interval of their advance. Federal enforcement personnel, immigration and customs enforcement insignia displayed prominently on protective gear, regarding him as quarry. The destination of this encounter was apparent before Brennan's initial utterance. "Good afternoon. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is executing an area sweep. Identification and legal status verification are required." Brennan's vocal delivery carried that distinctive bureaucratic monotone. The inflection of an individual mechanically repeating procedures performed countless times previously. Hayes removed his protective eyewear, ensuring hand visibility. 23 years of service had instructed him that abrupt movements around armed officers resulted in shootings. My profession is law enforcement. Phoenix PD Lieutenant Marcus Hayes is my identification. Inside my truck are my credentials and badge. He indicated his F-150 stationed at the adjacent pump. "Everyone claims something," Brennan responded, remaining stationary, preventing Hayes' movement. "Current documentation in your possession." His delivery method made skepticism abundantly evident. Fury ignited within Hayes' chest, that recognizable sensation accompanying such treatment within his jurisdiction. Sporting his local team's apparel at a refueling location he'd patronized hundreds of occasions. "My wallet occupies my rear pocket. My credentials reside in my vehicle. 23 years constitute my service duration with Phoenix Police. Precinct contact will provide verification. Status and identity establishment precede verification," Brennan stated, his tone frigid. Translation: "Your compliance is mandatory regardless of preference. Current documentation provision is necessary, otherwise detention for processing follows." Valdez had repositioned to Hayes' right flank, Kim to the left. The triangular formation contracted. Hayes' recognition was instantaneous. Containment methodologies, employed when flight or resistance is anticipated, yet flight wasn't occurring. Daylight positioning at a fuel pump with visible hands attempting identity explanation to federal agents who'd predetermined their conclusion. "Wallet access for ID retrieval?" Hayes inquired. Vocal steadiness maintained despite circumstances spiraling. Experience from the opposite perspective of such encounters existed. Knowledge of potential negative outcomes. Awareness that reaching gestures could be construed as weapon access. Gradual movement, dual fingers. "Sudden actions are prohibited," Brennan commanded, his hand now definitively positioned on his firearm. 3 recording devices captured Hayes' deliberate motion, extracting his wallet from his rear pocket as though conducting explosive ordnance disposal, revealing his operator's permit. Arizona permit, photographic identification, Glendale residential address, proper issuance and renewal, entirely legitimate and current. Brennan accepted the wallet, examining the permit without substantial interest. Citizenship or legal status lacks proof here. Passport, Birth documentation, naturalization certificates, something establishing your national belonging rights are necessary. The statement struck like physical impact. Tucson was Ace's birthplace. Tucson was his father's birthplace. New Mexico, during territorial status, was his grandfather's birthplace. American lineage predated Arizona's statehood for his family. Tucson is my birthplace. Natural-born citizenship is mine. Police lieutenant is additionally my profession. 15 feet distant in my truck resides my badge. Permit me to demonstrate. Movement is unauthorized until status verification, Brennan declared, confiscating Hayes's permit, technically constituting theft, later characterized as evidence securing. Processing and verification accompanies our requirement for your attendance. Processing, Hayes echoed, his voice hardening. Detention is occurring, legal grounds exist. Besides skin pigmentation, what reasonable suspicion supports illegal presence allegations? Heated atmosphere suspended the inquiry. Gas station patrons had ceased activities, mobile devices emerging, witnesses materializing as occurs when situations feel improper. 3 positions away, a female patron's elevated phone captured footage. A convenience store patron had halted, observing. Should federal agents possess authority for citizenship documentation demands from anyone absent reasonable suspicion? Commentary below is requested because Marcus Hayes's experience could affect any individual. Separating law from tyranny depends solely on our willingness to question. Intelligence regarding illegal employment in this vicinity forms our operational basis. Valdez contributed vocally, his camera recording Hayes's expression, barely restrained controlled anger. Individual status verification authority exists for encountered persons. Intelligence, Hayes stated. A black individual at a refueling location triggered documentation demands. That constitutes your intelligence. That represents your reasonable suspicion. Brennan's jaw muscles tensed. Rotation required. Posterior hand positioning. Legal status verification pending detention applies. Precinct contact, Hayes interjected. No movement, no compliance, no capitulation to their desires. Central Precinct, Phoenix PD, Captain Williams, requires notification. Inform him Lieutenant Marcus Hayes faces detention at McDowell's Shell Station. Observe subsequent developments. Rotation, repetition, Brennan stated, accessing his restraints. Hayes's decision crystallized then. Facilitation wouldn't occur. Vehicle placement and federal system disappearance for indeterminate verification hours wouldn't happen. Foot planting occurred, hand visibility maintained, employing the voice developed across 2 decades of authority. Resistance is absent, flight is absent, Fourth Amendment rights invocation is occurring, reasonable suspicion for detention is absent, probable cause for arrest is absent. Phoenix Police Department Lieutenant is my identity, and causeless physical contact constitutes peace officer assault. Crisp and clear delivery emerged, projected for cameras, for witnesses, for documentation. Brennan's hesitation followed. Typical responses differed from this. Fear or confusion typically produced compliance. Vehicle entry and later resolution usually occurred. This individual cited constitutional law, claimed law enforcement profession, created a recorded spectacle. Authority exists, Brennan initiated. Immigration law violation, reasonable suspicion authorizes stops. Hayes interrupted. What reasonable suspicion applies to me? What specific articulable facts produced my targeting at this location? Because brown skin and fuel purchase as answers fail reasonable suspicion standards. That's racial profiling with your awareness. Kim advanced from the left, attempting arm seizure. Hayes retreated 1 step, hands elevated, non-aggressive, contact prevention. Contact prohibition. Search or seizure consent is absent. Constitutional rights violation is occurring, with multi-angle recording. 30 seconds constituted the standoff duration, though temporal perception extended. 3 federal agents surrounding 1 individual, observing customers, recording phones, McDowell traffic passing with slowing drivers observing the scene. Then, Brennan's decision materialized. The incorrect one. The $13,900,000 decision. Detention resistance from subject. Securing is required. Simultaneous movement occurred. Valdez and Kim secured Hayes's arms while Brennan managed restraints. Hayes's fighting was absent. Federal officer assault charges would have resulted from fighting. Assistance was equally absent. Dead weight, tensed arms, non-pulling, forcing physical manipulation into restraints while camera-directed speech continued. Resistance is absent. Causeless federal agent assault is occurring to me. Lieutenant Marcus Hayes, Phoenix Police Department. Badge number 2847 is my identification. United States citizenship is mine. This detention lacks lawfulness. Wrist restraints clicked around him, circulation restricting tightness. Brennan's recording device captured the procedure, Hayes's facial expression. The moment a 23-year police veteran received criminal treatment at a refueling location for fuel purchase while black. SUV-directed movement occurred, past staring patrons, past the still recording woman, past the phone-using man Hayes overheard stating, "Yeah, some guy's receiving arrest. Unknown reasons," he claims police profession. "My truck," Hayes verbalized, neck craning toward his F-150 remaining at the pump. Ignition keys. Locked console containing badge and service firearm. "Security is absent for my vehicle. Weapon presence exists there." "Handling will occur," Brennan stated, meaning precisely nothing. SUV rear placement of Hayes occurred, cage separation between front and rear, space emanating fear and perspiration odors, and numerous previous occupants. Recording devices captured his seated position, posterior restrained hands, controlled fury facial expression. Phone call initiation by Brennan followed, his camera recording his conversation portion. "Yeah, verification detention of a subject exists. Phoenix PD claims, but visible badge or ID is absent. Shellen McDowell detention location, correct? Yeah. Delivery to our facility follows. Call conclusion and driver seat occupation occurred. Valdez passenger position, Kim rear surveillance of Hayes. Gas station departure occurred. Hayes's pump position truck abandoned IC field office destination. Rear seat positioned. Hayes addressed cameras with recording awareness. Approximately 10 a.m. Tuesday morning currently. IC agents Brennan Valdez and Kim detention without reasonable suspicion or probable cause has occurred. Lieutenant Marcus Hayes, Phoenix Police Department is my identity. Tucson, Arizona constitutes my birthplace. United States citizenship is mine. Fourth Amendment rights violation describes this detention. Everything these agents execute receives recording and accountability will follow. 28 minutes constituted ride duration. Post-statement silence from Hayes followed. Controlled breathing, anger management, subsequent event anticipation. Processing would occur. Identity verification would eventually happen. Error realization would eventually occur. Duration and pre-admission damage constituted the questions. IC field office arrival preceded secured garage parking and interior directed Hayes movement, restraints maintained, detainee treatment continued, intake area displayed activity. Various processing states characterized other individuals. Efficient bureaucratic boredom characterized agent movement. 10 by 10 cube with concrete walls and metal bench constituted Hayes's holding room. Shortly someone will attend, Brennan stated. Restraint removal. Precinct phone call preference exists? Hay inquired, wrist rubbing where restraint redness remained. Proper channels will provide identity verification, Brennan responded, meaning temporal extension, procedure adherence, error admission pre-coverage would occur. Door closure and metal bench seating occurred for Hayes in a federal detention cell. 2 decades of service characterized this police lieutenant undergoing illegal border-crossing treatment. Room experience existed previously. Opposite perspective, suspect interviews, casework. This bench occupancy was never anticipated. 1 hour elapsed, then 2. External activity reached Hayes's ears. Agent conversations, telephone rings, daily enforcement machinery grinding routine. Conversation attempts were absent. Situation explanations were absent. Silence and waiting and growing awareness that catastrophic error realization approached someone. 12:43 p.m., 3+ hours post-gas station stop, door opening finally occurred. Rank insignia indicated supervisor status. Brennan's following appearance suggested elsewhere preference. Mr. Hay, careful neutrality characterized the supervisor's voice. Agent Supervisor Martinez is my identity. A situation has developed. Identity verification has occurred. Phoenix PD contact finally happened, and exact identity correspondence was discovered. Hayes responded. Vocal flatness. Lieutenant Marcus Hayes, 23 years force service, Tucson birth, natural-born citizenship, and 3-hour detention for fuel purchase. Martinez displayed appropriate discomfort. Status verification procedure received adherence. Departure freedom is yours. Vehicle transport arrangement will follow. Procedure? Hayes repeated. Causeless American citizen detention is your procedure. Police profession claims receive ignoring. 3-hour unsecured vehicle abandonment at gas stations. Silence. Statement worsening was inevitable. Body camera footage copies are desired, Hayes continued. All 3 involved agents' names and badge numbers are desired. Formal incident report is desired, and initial stop reasonable suspicion explanation is desired beyond gas station brownness. Appropriate documentation will be received, Martinez stated. Bureaucrat language for legal minimum provision. Again, any inconvenience receives apologies. Inconvenience, Hayes stated softly. 3-hour causeless police lieutenant handcuffing and detention receives inconvenience labeling. Inconvenience conclusion has occurred. Federal civil rights violation territory has been entered with your awareness. Uncomfortable silence characterized their Shell station return driving. His truck remained somehow untowed, pump parking retention. Hayes console checked. Badge remained. Weapons security remained. Obvious disturbance was absent. Parking lot standing occurred momentarily. Breathing, processing, deciding. Then truck entry. Phoenix Police Headquarters direct driving. Captain Williams's office entry occurred. Basketball shorts and son's shirt still worn. Marcus, what the hell? Williams initiated, then expression, observation. What happened? Hayes detailed everything. The stop, the detention, the 3-hour federal holding cell. Williams listened with concern to fury facial progression. What detention grounds existed? Brownness. That's entirety. That's complete reasoning. Reasonable suspicion was absent. Probable cause was absent. 3 IC agents observed a black individual and documentation demands followed. Williams' phone reached. Chief contact and lawyer contact are occurring. Department business conclusion has occurred. Federal civil rights lawsuit territory exists. Amanda Torres, a civil rights attorney with federal agency lawsuit reputation, was Hayes's hired lawyer. Story listening. FOIA body camera footage requesting 8-week sufficiency for Department of Homeland Security legal team blanching lawsuit filing occurred. Footage proved damning. 3 angles displaying causeless Hayes stops, suspicionless detention, handcuffing, transportation despite clear identification. Audio capturing repeated citizenship assertions, badge number, department verification requests, and pre-processing refusal. Lieutenant Marcus Hayes versus United States of America, Todd Brennan, Luis Valdez, Jennifer Kim. Complaint allegations: unlawful detention, false imprisonment, Fourth Amendment, unreasonable seizure rights violation, racial profiling, law color civil rights deprivation, intentional emotional distress infliction. Hundreds of exhibit pages attached evidence, body camera recordings, gas station witness statements, Hayes's location phone records, Phoenix PD service record, citizenship proving birth certificate, wrongful detention airtight case. 4-month settlement offering occurred from government, $75,000. Torres single-word response transmission, no. $300,000 return occurred. Still insulting. Police lieutenant 3-hour detention for brownness characterized your agents, Torres informed government attorney. Identification ignoring, badge number ignoring, constitutional rights ignoring occurred. Trial proceeding and detention second payment jury assessment will follow. 19 months post-gas station stop, trial initiation occurred. Downtown Phoenix courtroom experienced daily packing. Uniform-wearing off-duty cops demonstrated solidarity. Civil rights organizations, community members, nationwide media covered overreach and racial profiling symbolism. Day 2 featured body camera footage playing. 3 synchronized angles. Jury observed Hayes's approach. Questioning, detention. Clear repeated identification listening occurred. 3 federal agents complete ignoring watching, handcuffing anyway. Footage conclusion produced several angry-appearing jurors. 1 juror's head-shaking slowness, disgust expression. Hayes' 4-day, 9-hour testimony occurred. Career, service record, commendation, jury presentation. Hundreds of times patronized gas station detention humiliation description in personal city wearing personal team jersey. Escalation, fear, belief, questioning, name, becoming, hashtag, possibilities, mind navigation, explanation. 23 years police profession characterizes me. Jury statement. Thousands of stops, hundreds of arrests characterize my work. Reasonable suspicion appearance knowledge exists. Probable cause requirements knowledge exists. Those agents possessed neither. Gas station, brown man, and sufficiency for them existed. Everything else, my explanation, my badge number, my rights, nothing mattered because belonging denial predetermined. Area illegal employment, intelligence-based reasonable agent action defense argument occurred. Cross-examination of Brennan by Torres destroyed that argument. Agent Brennan, specific Shell Station illegal employment intelligence existence. General area intelligence existed. The area, not that specific station. And Lieutenant Hayes's behavior or appearance illegal employment suspicion basis. General demographic profile matching occurred. Demographic profile? Brownness meaning? That statement wasn't made, but meaning existed because nothing else about him, clothing, vehicle, behavior suggested illegal employment. Gas pumping was occurring. So, what exactly produced targeting? Silence. Jury observed Brennan's racial profiling sound avoidance answer struggle. 8 days jury deliberation occurred. Return produced foreman verdict reading that courtroom electrified. All counts guilty. Damages phase additional 12 days occurred. Hayes's nightmares hearing, hypervigilance, federal law enforcement trust inability, captain testimony about incident work effects, other officer relationship effects, psychologist testimony about PTSD, and system-serving officers becoming system victims specific trauma. Jury damages announcement produced courtroom silence. $9,400,000 compensatory damages, $4,500,000 punitive damages. Total $13,900,000. Brennan Valdez and Kim desk position reassignment occurred. Verification delaying field office supervisor demotion occurred. Department of Homeland Security careful statement issuance about ongoing reviews and policy clarifications occurred. Systemic problem existence admission avoidance. Regularly scheduled revision part training material updates occurred. Nothing acknowledging this specific case fundamental failure revelation. Hey, 3 additional years. Phoenix PD remaining preceded early retirement. Settlement portion usage. Funded immigration enforcement. Detainee legal defense organization. Free attorney and documentation assistance provision. Gas stations stop cautionary tale status achieved in police academies and law schools as assumption evidence, override example, profiling life destruction, and badges bias deciding non-belonging protection failure. Citizenship gas station self-proving requirement wrongness belief reasonable suspicion meaning significance subscription control engagement. More approaching stories display documentation significance camera life-saving sometimes jury willingness sufficient justice saying. Because Police Lieutenant Brown fuel purchase detention possibility country existence means all individuals one stop from home belonging proof requirement distance.